right, a very good evening to you. It's Late Night Talk. We're back here, right here on Facebook and YouTube. My name is Kofi Bartels. Great to have you join us tonight. I have a guest in the studio for the first time. He is an entrepreneur, a creative. He's a producer, music videos, and one time he was a singer. He's a tech guy, an inventor. He pretty much invents a lot of things. A programmer, so I can call him a video person and a techie. And no, sometimes some days you're a video person, some days you're a techie, and some days you're a musical person. Barcelona Rie, probably called Base One of Port Harcourt. Yeah, I would have shake. I would give you a handshake, but social distancing.
Let's just cut each other like this.
It's great to have you on
thanks,
Saturday.
Kofi. It's lovely being here.
Great. Base.
It's an honor to be your first guest in the studio.
I'm telling you. Can we put our hands together for him, please? Yeah. First guest on Late Night Talk. You know, we go way back, Base One, because you produced my first TV program. You remember that?
Yes, in Calabar.
Yes. That was some time ago, and it was my window to the TV.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I wasn't reading at the time, but that was my window to TV, and I just want to say thank you. So this is some sort of reunion, as it were.
Yes. How many years has it been?
It's been a long time.
Wow, it's over 10 years.
Yeah. And Base One is a great guy, fantastic guy. He's been of help to lots of people in Port Harcourt. That's before we met. When I go to places and I mention his name, or people say, you know him? So it's great to have such a personality on Late Night Talk tonight. We've been doing our little best to make sure that we improve on what we have, and make it a bit better for you. It's not easier, but small. Now, so we're going to get there. So, Base One, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Kofi, for having me here.
All right. If you're watching, please drop your comments. The topic is already up on Facebook and already up on YouTube as well. We're asking for your thoughts on this issue for tonight: Nigerian youth and the culture of docility. Nigerian youth and the culture of docility. Some people will disagree and say Nigerian youth are not docile. Nigerians are not docile. The youth are, But if you look at what's been happening in the United States of America, where the justice for George Floyd protests have been holding sway, with demands for change, social justice in America. Someone said they've thrown social distancing out the window for social justice, because the way they're mixing and all that. We're asking, what are the Nigerian youth doing? What are the Nigerian youth doing? Where are they? When it comes to the issues bedeviling the nation, where are they? And that's the question we're asking tonight. Base, your thoughts on what's happening in the United States today? Did you envisage that 2020 was going to be this crazy, and we'll have all these things?
Kofi, 2020 has been a very, very eventful year, personally, as well as we see what's happening worldwide. It's very interesting. What's happening in the United States now, I think very strongly, has been a long time coming.
Really?
Yes, it's been a long time coming, because in the recent past years, we've seen a lot of similar cases of extrajudicial killings of black males.
Okay.
They all caused different levels of uproar and all that, but at some point they all were quelled by probably other events coming in at the time, or people just shouting and, laying back. But this particular response has been a long time coming, because you know how it is. You push a man continuously, at the point where the man's back hits the wall, the man has to lash out. He can't go back anymore. He's going to lash out at some point. Right.
So you feel this is the period where American backs have hit the wall? I
think some people have just taken the opportunity of this to do that. Right. I don't think it's everybody's sentiment. I don't think all the blacks in America were looking at doing it this way. But certain people picked up on it, and the rest just joined the Listen, because I mean, if we're gonna shout, might as well all shout. That's the way
Yeah.
they've approached it, and it's really interesting. Of course, now we're beginning to see a few people with dissenting voices, people coming out to say, "Oh no, this is not what we should do." And we've seen videos of young people who I believe are not really well informed
The
about.
looting.
No, not even the looting. I mean, those who are coming out to say, "Oh, why are we protesting? Is George Floyd's issue the real issue we should use to fight this?" And I think they're not really too informed, really, about the history of these things.
When you say they're not too informed about, how do you mean? Is it that they are protesting amidst or what?
No, I'm talking about people who are talking against the
Okay,
protests.
okay. Especially
Yes.
Fox News. Sorry,
I've
gone there again.
I'm actually talking about young blacks
yeah.
that are beginning to make videos and speak up against this.
Okay,
I've watched about
yeah.
two, and I just watched one this night. You know, I've watched another one.
One lady who was also screaming.
Yes, there was
You-
that one. I
you are
watched
the
that
racist, you're the
yesterday
racist.
or a couple days
And all the
ago.
Republicans and those on Fox News are just gushing about it. Braid Bat is gushing
Exactly.
about it.
I mean, they'll probably
David
give her
Harris.
some kind of blessing for doing that for
Yeah,
them.
yeah, they
You know,
just-
but it doesn't make sense because she's too young to know, and she hasn't. From the way she spoke, she hasn't even stayed in
I'm
America
telling you.
long enough to be
Are
able
you sure
to.
she wasn't paid by some Republican?
Who knows?
You know,
who knows? I
you know,
mean, that's the kind of world we live in, so it's very possible.
mainstream media want to be.
It's
Okay.
very possible.
All right. Thank you very much, Big One. So, if you're just joining us, it's still Late Night Talk. My name is Kofi Bartels. We're streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. Facebook.com/Kofi on air and YouTube.com/Kofi Bartels. I want to thank all of you who are watching tonight. Please do me a favor by, first of all, sharing this stream. If you're on YouTube, please share the stream. If you're on Facebook, please share the stream. That's how the easiest way to support what we're doing. Share the stream. Also, like my page, invite your friends to like my page. But before you leave the stream, click the notification bell. If it's on YouTube or Facebook, you have a notification button. You click that one so that each time we're going live, you get to know. If it's on YouTube, there's a bell somewhere. You click it and also subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Your thoughts are welcome. You can share your thoughts on Nigerian youth and the culture of docility by simply commenting on this post, on this live stream. You can also call. We have a number to call, and the number to call is 080. Please write it down or store it. We want to hear from you. 080-620-99556 is the number to call. 080-620-99556. I'll take it again. 080-620-99556. It's already on the post, and you can have your say. All right, what are we written up on Facebook and YouTube? Tonight on Late Night Talk, Nigerian youth and the culture of docility as a justice for George Floyd protests sweep across America. The movement is being led by youth, some as young as 16. What lessons can the youth of Nigeria learn from the American counterparts? Why are Nigerian youth not speaking up against the wrongs in their society? The number again is 080-620-99556. 080-620-99556. Abase, what's been your view on the age of these people protesting in America? You've seen it all over on the internet, on TV. I see a lot of young people, and it's surprising.
Yeah. It's definitely the young ones who are using this opportunity to let their feelings, be expressed and say, just taking this opportunity to tell America, hey, we're here, we're seeing what you're doing, we're growing up in this society, and we're not liking what we're seeing, right? But I think, the sentiment is shared. In the black community, it's all across the board, right? From the young to the old. They're all voicing this thing in their different ways. Those who can't come out are posting on social media, and doing all the things that they can do. Those who can come out and walk and protest. But of course, a lot of energy in the youth. So you're going to see more youths definitely in the streets.
What I said to myself was, hey, the young people are doing what their parents couldn't do.
Yeah.
The black Americans, the young ones are doing what their parents couldn't do. And you look at the the bullshit. It feels liberating to be able to say that. It's not radio. We were like, but I mean, if you had a bullshit that has been, I don't know, say that one more time. Sorry, I apologize. But the injustice, social injustices that have been up in America for years.
Yeah.
And since the time of Martin Luther King Jr., the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X, we've not really had. Okay, Muhammad Ali spoke and said something. We don't really have.
Lou Farrakhan had his time.
I was apart from Farrakhan.
Yeah, nothing.
Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, and the same Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton are the ones who would still come and be leading and be talking and be demanding.
Yeah.
And I asked myself, where are the young generations?
Yeah.
Barack Obama was offered lots of hope, but delivered so much promise, but the delivery was just a disappointment, really.
Dude,
but
I think when you talk about Barack Obama, we have to understand that doing things over there at that level, I mean, we have to be careful. Yes, you have to be careful.
When you say you have to be careful, how do you
what exactly? The problem the blacks have in America. I listened to a speaker who brought everything down to one base. It's an economic problem.
The problem that the blacks have in America right now is an economic problem.
It's all starts with the economic problem, right? And if you don't have that base, the economic standpoint, the economic strength, then every other thing that you try to do is shaky. So for a man like Obama who rose to political power, right, his own people, the black Americans, don't have the economic wherewithal to give him the support to go against the people that are oppressing them.
But is that not why he's president, to be able to change that? Because I mean, this brother Trump uses it as a daily campaign tool to say, Obama, what did Obama do for you? That he came in, and the average black neighborhood now is wealthier, than it was in the time of Obama. It's created jobs and all that.
I think we would be amiss to think that because the Democrats allowed Obama to become president, suddenly means that all the Democrats are pro-black.
Well, okay. So now
my point being that if you talk about the support he had to become president, that's the support he had to become president. That's the economic power, and the economic power forms the basis for all other levels of power.
So you're president. You're the most powerful man on earth. Surely you can implement some policies to better a lot of the people in the inner cities of Chicago. Okay, so
and those guys were the things that he actually did. The things he actually did as president. How easy was it for him to put those things in place? Obama faced a hell of a lot of opposition.
Did you watch Farrakhan's speech on Obama? There was something he said about Obama.
What he said?
Told him, to hell with you, Obama. You got there, you couldn't even represent your people, couldn't make life better for them.
That's the right way to put it. He couldn't. It's different from saying you didn't. You couldn't. You understand? Denote some level of inability. You understand? You're in that position. I mean, if I could, I'd like to bring it home. My sentiment, for instance, on the view that a lot of Southerners hold about Jonathan being president. I feel a lot of Southerners have a flawed view of Jonathan as president, because in the same manner as Obama cannot get a lot of support from the black community to stand his ground on things that he wants to do for them. It's the same way a man like Jonathan had much opposition in Nigeria.
Here we go again.
No, yes, I know you hold a different view.
No.
But this is what I'm saying.
No. I'm just saying here we're going because it's a Nigerian political PDP thing.
If the people, I'm not even talking PDP APC. I'm talking about Jonathan and his support.
Okay.
If the people that are your backup, if the people who are supposed to stand up for you when you're trying to play hardball and do what you want to do, if they don't have the economic power to stand up, then you have a problem. Because those with the economic power can also wield military power and political power. Yes, you may be the commander-in-chief of the armed forces at the time, but if the armed forces is made up mostly of people from the other ethnic groups that have the economic power, who do you think really controls them?
Okay.
We saw it in play in the country.
This is a topic that if we want to pursue,
Of course.
I'm
just relating the
this is
two
a topic that
things.
if we want to pursue,
Of course,
we
I
will
know.
not end today.
We'll do that some other time.
Let's not go there. We'll have it in the car on the way back. But if you're joining us, it's late night talk. We're going to go back to our main, reason why we have this program on tonight. And of course, my guest is Mr. Basone Oruye, popularly known as Base One. He might tell us that story sometime. But we're looking at the Nigerian youth and the culture of docility. Taking a lead from what's happening in the United States of America, where the Justice for Judge Floyd protests have ridden on the back of the youth in the United States of America, some as young as 16 years old. Your thoughts are welcome on the stream if you're watching. Please feel free to drop your comments on YouTube or Facebook. You can also call, and the number to call is 080-620-99556. 080-620-99556. Why are we seeing rising of young people in America? Base, you didn't answer the question to my satisfaction, so I want to come back. I think we got a bit distracted.
We digressed.
What is your take on the youngsters? We're used to seeing American youngsters. Please call 080-620-99556. We used to see American youngsters just interested. We thought interested in that was from history, interested in living the good life, in music, hip hop, being fly, then social media came around, but this level of consciousness, and the millennials were meant to be the worst. The millennials were meant to be the worst, the worst of the. But I'm seeing them quoting MLK. I'm seeing them quoting X. I'm seeing them quote the sayings of Tupac. And I'm like, they know Tupac. Quoting a lot of Marcus Garvey and something. And I'm wondering, wow, where these people getting all these things from? You remember some years ago when there were protests? There was a little, I forgot, was it about politics or something? But I think it was still Black Lives Matter. Something. There was this young girl who had a shaven hair who was leading the protests as well. And so, are you surprised? Because I'm surprised that the youngsters in America are this conscious.
No, I'm not really surprised, because we've seen this same thing happen pretty much all across the world. Recently, we had stuff happening in Hong Kong. Hong Kong started and said, no. There's that issue they had between Hong Kong and the Chinese mainland. Yeah. But you see, I think the burst of access to information that has happened with social media, all the multiple social media platforms available, the speed of the internet getting increased, and everybody having more access to information at their fingertips, mobile technology getting better and better, and even cheaper, so these things have contributed to put information. And of course, you have to give props to organizations that have also tried to take advantage, because when the mobile phone things and the internet and all this first came up, most of what we were getting as content on the internet was entertainment content and sharing of this and that. Yeah. But a lot of organizations now have taken advantage of the internet and all the technologies related to it to push the information into people's faces as much as they can. I saw a whole, I can't remember the name now, but I saw a whole social media setup, just like medium.com, that was focused on Black stories.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
I signed up and took my time to go through a few of them. I've not been on the platform for quite
all these guys, even HuffPost has something black.
Yes.
And they all try to get something black.
So you can imagine when these people are able to target and get a lot of the black community onto these platforms and share the information amongst themselves, then black awareness grows. Right? And even the musicians, we know that they have musicians who have put these stories into their lyrics.
Bass, when you say that is the problem I have. When you talk about the musicians, historically, recently, in recent historical times, the black celebrities have always shied away. I don't know if you agree, from black American celebrities, from discussing issues that are, you know, volatile and frictional in America. You know, I mean, Kaepernick was probably the first one who did a protest.
Yeah.
A lot of the musicians were not really talking about it openly.
Yeah.
Jay-Z, openly.
Yeah.
Beyonce, maybe once in a while they put it in the music and all that.
Yeah.
But like Tupac was talking about it,
Yeah.
they were not talking about it. The movie stars, you know, I was expecting a lot from the likes of Samuel L. Jackson, Will Smith, and all these guys who act black movies and they are fighting
I
for
was
black.
happy to
Morgan
see.
Freeman. That was some years ago.
Yeah.
And I kept asking myself, what's going on? Are they afraid? And the argument then from people around was, oh, you know, the establishment, if they talk a lot, you know, there'll be a backlash from Hollywood. The boardroom guys would, you know, so they're just trying to respect themselves.
Yeah, but that proves the point I was making before, that it all comes to the economic power that you have to wield. The only reason they cannot talk is because they don't want to jeopardize their source of livelihood. They don't want to jeopardize that. In fact, recently, another thing that we've seen recently is people encouraging blacks to take their money out of white-controlled banks and put their money in black-controlled banks. There's been quite a movement of that recently. And that sparks, you know, good vibes for the black community, because if there's more money circulating within the black community, and this economic power we're talking about begins to grow.
Okay.
And if you know that you don't depend on, I mean, they've been saying it for years, that you can rise as much as you want to rise in music or in sports or in movies in America, but at the end of the day, there's still a white man somewhere signing your checks. And as long as there's a white man somewhere signing your checks,
you don't really have the control.
Exactly. So it comes down to the economic power.
Okay. So the reason I asked the question was, okay, so what's your take now on that fear exhibited by the black American celebrities, most of whom are pretty youngsters, sports people, you know, musicians, movie actors, directors, you know, newscasters, and all these guys. We've not seen them leading protests. They just really, you know, they want somebody to put up, you know, cryptic things, you know, just say something about it. But they're not doing all these things. And what's been the difference between then and now? Why is it that now we're seeing Samuel Jackson tweeting actively, you know, and all these? Was it a Kaepernick effect, or it's just tiredness, or they don't feel fear?
I think it's possible to say that right now it looks like a larger number of people are in on this talk, right? And it gives you a greater sense of camaraderie, right? Before, if, you know, the black population in America, let's say they're 1 million, if you had 200 people, only 200 people shouting about something, you know, you in certain positions, those of them in certain positions may not be able to, because I mean the support seems very low, 200 people out of 1 million. But when the number of people talking and agitating right now rises to 500,000, you know, then it gives you a greater sense. You're able to talk more because, you know, there are lots more people that are willing to stand up about this than when there are few. So it's easier when you know that we're all in this together.
So nobody will be left hanging.
Yes.
It's, well, you know, human beings are the same all over the world. Last. All right. Nigerian youth and the culture of docility. Feel free to call 080-620-99556. As a matter of fact, we need to just type this on the stream so you can be a part of it. Call 080-620-99556. If you'd like to air your view, 080-620-99556. If you'd like to air your view, my guest tonight is Mr. Basone Oruye. He is a tech enthusiast, a tech entrepreneur. He's a programmer, website designer. He's a media guy as well. He produced one of the first nationally recognized music videos in River State, in the history of River State, and of course he's here with us tonight. But apart from being a programmer, a web designer, a tech guy, a media guy, also has thoughts on things going on around Nigeria and the world, and a very good worldview, healthy worldview as well. And I've called him a politician because he has a lot to say about Nigerian politics. Feel free to call 080-620-99556, 080-620-99556. Nigerian youth and the culture of docility. Now, you looked at what's happening in America. Based on what's happening in America and what we have in Nigeria, there's so many social injustices in the country, economic injustice in the country. We have issues to do with corruption. We have, failing healthcare system, and the coronavirus has proven that. We have a poor education, a lot of things, collapsing infrastructure, and a massive looting of, state resources. Because of course, where's the money going to? Why are Nigerian youth not up on the streets, up talking about what's going on, up airing the views, up getting heard, up saying you shall not pass until you change, will block road, light down? What's going on? And are the Nigerian youth docile? Is there anything Nigerian young people can do? Is it even in their hands? You have to have your say by commenting on the post. You can also call 080-620. I thought you were going to try it. Okay, very docile.
Oh, I've been saying this since I was in the university.
Oh, not even today.
No. I think it started around the time I was in school.
Okay.
Right? Because it was after that period we started seeing a lot of schools clamping down on protests by the students, making students sign undertakings that they will not protest.
When you were in your time?
Yeah, just after my
set.
time.
Okay.
That's when I started seeing those things, right? But something had been happening in my time in school. I started seeing that the student bodies, all of a sudden, their focus was, as in the focus of the executive in the student bodies, was catering to or pampering the administration in each case, and mostly because they wanted personal gain. The members of the excos in schools wanted personal gain. They were more interested in that, in that than fighting for any student rights or
even national
representing students who had issues and all that. So all those things, all the activism and everything started falling away at that time. And I think it lent, or let me say it inspired the administration to now take this other stand. Because I think when I was younger, watching our senior brothers and sisters in school and the protests that happened at those times and everything, I think everybody understood that everybody has the right to protest.
Even when the military was in power?
Yes, even when the military was in power, everybody understood that you have the right to protest. And so there were protests every now and then. Some, yes, sadly may have turned violent in some cases, but some didn't. And we saw those protests. Everybody appreciated why people were protesting. And in some cases, they actually got the results they were looking for. In others, they may not have, but at least their voice was heard. But the next thing that happened was there was a clampdown on protests, and students were made to sign undertakings saying they will not protest, they will not do this, they will not do that. Everybody started focusing more on their individual lives and not caring about what was happening in the society, or not caring enough to stand up against the ills we were seeing in society. I think it bubbled out from the schools into the larger society. At least that's my view, that's my perspective on it. It bubbled out from the schools into the larger society, and it is those people in the schools at that time who are now in certain positions that should actually be pushing stuff, but they're not. They can't, because already the docility has become a mainstay in our lives, and it's really sad.
Very interesting points, and I'm having to scribble them down that you've made. Wow, that's a very interesting take. Call me right now. Call us right now. 080-620-99556. 080-620-99556 to have you saying what we're talking about. So You're saying, or he's saying, my guest today, Mr. Basanore, is saying that the docility amongst Nigerian youth is real, it's true, there's no doubt about it. Nigerian youth are docile. And he said it's been there for years. And he's pointing to departure by student leaders in the university system from fighting for rights, fighting for issues, to signing undertakings to be of good behavior, and also seeking personal gain. That's interesting. Which of the protests you remember from your time in school or even before you got into school? Let's just stay in UST as it was known then.
Yes, I mean I lived on that campus, and I was very young by the time we got there, but I do remember in Babangira's time there were a few protests, against his government. When the SAP issue came up, there were a couple of
structural adjustment program.
The student unions mobilized to make their voice heard, at the time. And there was the image coming clearest to my mind now was when the students stood up. I can't remember what year that was, but the students stood up in force against the cults.
Against the cults?
Yes, because the menace of the cults was becoming too much. And the administration, the police, the security forces and the rest of them were just behaving like they had no clue what to do. But there was a particular night in school when the student union government that had just been sworn in just said enough is enough and chased out so many members of a particular cult from the school. And
you think, these days we feel the feeling is that even student unions leaders are called people. No be so.
That's the feeling across the board. It's what we're seeing. Whether you're talking,
but then they were the ones that were chasing the.
Yes, they were the ones mobilizing students to stand up and fight. Against ills, against the oppression they were facing, either from administration or from the cults.
Interesting. I remember one of those days a student union body invited me to UST for some seminar. We were supposed to be speaking, and then they invited some older students. I got to realize some of them I knew were into NGO work today, not for profit and civil society work. Were student union leaders in school, and one of them was Ken Henshaw. Ken Henshaw is with the people in Port Harcourt now. He's usually on radio and stuff like that. And then I started hearing stories about Ken Henshaw back in the day, when he even got arrested. Sometimes something got expelled. When they said Obasanjo was coming to UST, and they said they won't allow him come to the school, and they blocked the gate to say he should go back, and some things like that and all that. And how they were hardcore. When they were increasing fees, so some
many times they stood against those things.
And but the interesting thing is even back in the day, in the 80s and 90s, the protests were not just in universities, so in secondary schools as well.
Exactly.
I remember one when I was still in primary school, in the late 80s, when I was still in primary school. There's a popular school in Cross River State, Calabar, called Hope Waddle.
Yeah.
If you remember Hope Waddle.
I remember.
And my cousins were in senior secondary school right there, and there was a big protest. And they came home. They had to shut down the school. And what we heard was that cars were turned upside down. They smashed the principal's car, they jacked it and turned it upside down. Secondary school.
Yeah.
It's not as if we're not preaching violence, we're not saying people need to be violent, but they at least were demanding for something.
Yeah.
They were demanding for something. I remember when my dad was still teaching Holy Child School in Calabar. One of those days, teachers were cutting their hair. It's a girls' school, Holy Child girls' school.
Okay.
Secondary school. Students were cutting. This should have been in the 90s, late 80s or 90s. Students were cutting, teachers were cutting the hair of the students who were trying to keep their hair. So they'll hide the hair under the beret. And the teachers will come one by one and see the hand. They will take scissors, cut it in assembly. Jaga, 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 jaga. Now, there was the military administration then in Cross River State. I think a commissioner, one of the commissioners, as a military man, or Milad. I don't know. I don't think it's a Milad sort of, but one of the military commissioners.
Mm.
His daughter was in the school, and she was keeping her hair. She was keeping her hair. You know what the students did? They caught her. They caught her.
Okay, the teachers couldn't cut her hair, so the students did it.
Okay, I think what they did was there was a protest.
Mm.
There was a riot in Holy Child. So one of my friends who was in Port Harcourt some months ago, she relocated. She revealed to me, because my dad told me about that story, revealed to me that she was part of those who were in the riot. And what did she do? She said she went to buy pepper. You know, then there was no pure water. It was this ice water in waterproof. And she put the pepper inside. What pepper? Ground the pepper, put it inside. So they were stoning the teachers. They were stoning the teachers with their waterproof. So as it breaks, pepper is entering your ass.
Wow.
Hot one. That's what they were doing. You know, there was chaos. And so my dad was the one who went and took the girl to quell the violence and cut the girl's hair himself. Yeah, he took the girl and cut the girl's hair himself. That's how the school came calm. Because he said, why would you allow her when she's coming to school? And you know, secondary school. Secondary school, wow. Today, can that
Nothing.
happen? It can't happen.
No, it can't happen.
Yeah, man.
No, it can't happen.
Okay, we have some comments coming in. Based on what we're seeing in the United States of America, Nigerian youth docile, will you describe them as being docile? Feel free to call 080-620-99556, 080-620-99556. Frank Amba Kederemo, I know I've murdered your name. And for that, I sincerely apologize. Okorin Woki, good evening to you. Gechiku Ohakwe, good evening to you. Kelvin Felix, good evening to you. Godsoul and Wabagi, good evening to you. Comrade Odis Geo Cherry, we have lots of comrades. Where are you, comrades? You people are bearing the title, but we want to see you guys in action. But good evening, thanks for joining us. Says very good one from our counterparts. Nigerian youth are mainly selfish and always divided due to the influence of money. So it's difficult for us to come out massively to protest in this kind of situation. So it says they're divided because of money, influence of money. You agree with that? No, now this is not about school, but
like
outside.
I said before, there's the angle of personal gain. People wanting to benefit personally from one thing or the
It's
other.
outside school now.
Yes, because like I said before, it bubbled up from school and became what we see today. I mean, if they did it in the school, it favored them. When they come out in the larger society, they just do it again, right? And so everybody is more concerned about getting enough for your family, being able to send your children to good schools or send them abroad, being able to travel abroad whenever you feel like you would like to, being able to do pretty much anything you want. And it doesn't matter if something that you are benefiting from is actually detrimental to the larger society. It doesn't matter if your children themselves might suffer from it years from now, as long as today gives you the ability to give them whatever they want. I guess most people think later they will send their children to other countries so they won't have to suffer.
I thought I Ghana.
Yeah, you understand?
But I mean, okay, I will keep my question till I exhaust the messages here. God's gift Oluchi Nwachuku say okay, good evening to you. Thanks for your message. See it and appreciate it. I'm on air. He says I should come back on air and it's crying. I'm on air right now. This is so you watch me here. Okay. Thank you very much. Kodre, don't cry, yeah? No. Nkem Chibundu says, Ghana man, how are you doing today? Ideal. Comrade Odis Geo Cherry says, very good one from our counterparts. I think I've read this already.
Yeah.
Okay, same thing. Bear Briggs, thank you very much for your message. Says I'm distracted. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Jerry Itukakban says, good evening. I think the major issue here is the system of government we operate. If that protest was in Nigeria, your guess will be as good as mine. I think of the Biafran agitation, I think poverty is another key factor. You want to challenge people that will send the army to destroy the whole of your community. What do you say to that?
I mean, it's true. It's true.
But okay. So I mean, if people wake up today in Port Harcourt and go and protest, which community are they going to destroy?
No, it's not.
If people just wake up and come together, coalition for something, and go and protest in Abuja, which community, how they trace, they go to everybody's community, they don't even know who you are. You know.
In that case, you're talking of a nationwide thing.
Because,
Right.
because this community thing is
Uh-huh.
maybe when there's something in one community, they kill a soldier there, they fought, and then, like one South Onibo town village where they burned down a police station and all that, and freed the prisoners because they've been oppressed.
I think talking about them coming to destroy a community, it's a bit symbolic, you know. It's not just by sending the military to destroy a community. Sometimes it's by simply saying, you people think you can talk, eh? Okay, now we're going to withhold, something that's supposed to come to that area.
But
withholding funds. We've seen those things happen in the
yeah.
country. Some people speak up against something, and because of that, funds are withheld. Some benefits, contracts that should have been awarded within your community are not awarded, and then so there are different ways to.
Okay, so you all are talking about community wahala, but I'm looking at issues that affect the national life.
Yeah.
We have Abuja, where people can go and demand for their rights. We have Lagos. We have Port Harcourt. The people who are going to come together to demand for their rights are not from one village. They are not from Buguma. They are not from Kana, Bori, or Krika. They're not from there. You can't even pinpoint them. So how are you going to say we are going to burn down a village? You can't leave Abuja and go and burn down any village. It won't happen. It's never happened in Nigeria before.
In recent years, I don't think we've even seen Nigerians come together to protest any general issues. It's usually something, most of the protests we've seen in recent years, if you think of the Biafra struggle, if you think of the Muslim groups up north, it's usually either our ethnicity or our religion, things like that. That's what we've been seeing people come together to protest recently. So I think for some reason, and I think it still comes to what we're talking about, the docility of the youth, right? When it comes to these national issues, it doesn't seem like there's anything strong enough to pull people together, to unite them together, to come out and protest. We did see some years ago, the issue of fuel, Occupy Nigeria. We saw that happen.
Yeah, that was I mean, okay, we have a call coming through. Let's see. Oh, lost. We missed this caller. Please call back. I mean, that Occupy Nigeria was something I hadn't seen before in my lifetime in this country. But some would argue that Occupy Nigeria was fueled by, politicians and political interests, and maybe it wasn't as natural as some of what we see in America is.
Do you want me to make a comment on that?
Yeah.
You really do. I need to ask, because I remember we even argued some things back then about that
we'll
issue.
Have time for those arguments.
Yes.
But there's a call coming through. I think we'll have to get back to this person. Let's see if he or she will pick. But we'll play something if you're watching from America, because we have the American celebrities. Okay, I think this. All right, sorry, mistakenly did the call there. We have these American celebrities, the younger ones who are speaking up. Keke Palmer was, I think, in Washington D.C. or somewhere, where the National Guard came out and were trying to kick them off the street. Okay. And she was begging them to march with us. Yeah. The revolution it looked a bit...
Must be televised.
Yeah, it looked a bit strange because she sounded socialist. She sounded socialist. She sounded like, it was strange. I was wondering, I mean, what do you mean the revolution was televised? She was dying to see chaos. And but that's one. So Two-Face Idibia some time ago called Nigerians to come out to march, and later pulled out. What would you say about Nigerian celebs and their penchant to not stand for things that are demanding change and a voice to speak?
Well, again, I would talk about the number of people involved in a particular protest, if you think it's just you and 20 people who are feeling a certain way, and you know that there is this latent chance that you speak out, you're going to suffer economically, you weigh the odds.
Okay. So you're looking at the economic angle for these Nigerian celebrities.
You can't ever ignore the economic angle.
How?
You can't ever ignore.
Nobody's going to invite you for sure again.
I mean, we've seen it happen. You understand? We've seen things like where people spoke about things and their careers just went downward.
Idris Abdul Karim.
From there, I mean, there are names to call.
In this
right?
country.
Yeah. So everybody is worried. Everybody's scared. Everybody is careful. About what they do, what they say, and when. Right? So that I mean, if you actually do come out, make all the noise, and not enough people are mobilized into it, then you're standing alone, and you will suffer alone.
Are you thinking of Shore? Are you thinking of Shore? I think that is one of the problems. You said that along the line that people are not interested in coming out because they know when they come out, if push comes to shove, people will run and leave them.
Exactly.
Please hold on. Let's take this call. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening, Mr. Kofi.
Thanks for your time. What's your name? Where are you calling from, please?
Jerry Etukakwan. I'm calling from Akwa Ibom.
Mr. Tuapan, all the way from Akwa Ibom State. Wow, nice to have you. Please go on.
Our counterparts in the U.S., the youth, they are really showing us the right way to follow. But due to the way our system of government is here, we can't really speak out.
Okay.
In most cases. Like I remember Two-Face did their at some time. He wanted to come out to, in fact, he planned on organizing a protest. But due to one thing or the other, I think he was shut down because of that. He had to keep quiet and go back into his own shelf. Here in Akwa Ibom, I think a young guy, he should be a journalist or he owns a page where he drops news and that. He said something concerning the COVID-19 status of Akwa Ibom State.
Oh, that young man who was imprisoned.
Yeah, and then so when issues like this keep coming up, not that we don't know what to do, but when you're in a system of government in a country where you can't come out and say anything without turning back to look if someone is fooling you. Besides protests then in Abuja, after a while, all of them were arrested and were detained, and so many things keep happening. It's just that we're not free. We're not free to speak out.
Okay. But I mean, who is free in this part of in anywhere in the world? Freedom is never gotten on a platter of gold. You look at the likes of Martin Luther King Jr., Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in the United States of America. They killed him. He was assassinated, and he even predicted it. You look at Malcolm X, assassinated. They even predicted it all over the world. So, okay, let's look at what happened in Egypt, in Morocco, in Tunisia, in Algeria with the Arab Spring. Young people, they came out at even greater risk than in Nigeria. The kind of massacre that goes on that doesn't happen here. Can we excuse ourselves by saying it's not safe? It was never meant to be safe.
Yeah, I know. Just like they say, power is not given, it's gotten. Yeah, you need to fight for it, and freedom, you can't just get anything on a platter of gold. But really, I think another major issue there would now be the issue the guardian was talking about, the school issue where you do things and want to get it to come out to the larger society, and because of personal gains, even if we say now let's go out, some people come out on the factor of maybe party, what you're doing is my party is not in support, and the other side of the divide will like, how much are you going to pay me? and all that and all that. So maybe I'll just say boils down to poverty. So many people, just because of either money, they don't have money to eat, their family are in a real shambles of poverty. But I think it's just high time in this country. We need to, as some people, as youth, we need to stand up to fight for our right, to fight to say the truth. Because if we don't stand up, if we don't wake up one day, then we'll keep running.
How will that happen? Because I mean, you're not wrong when you said there's a fear. People will be made to pay a price and all that. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying yes, but we have to pay a price. So, but how will we get there? If you say we need to stand up, there's a need, like you've said. What do you think will be the best way to achieve it? Because people are still afraid from all indications.
I think the best way would be we having a very shared dream of where we want this country to move forward to.
Mm-hmm.
And then every one of us in unity of purpose and our hearts put together that really want this country to move forward.
Mm.
We put every other thing behind us, our tribal sentiments and whatsoever.
Mm.
We just have to come out.
Okay.
I think maybe we need to be a leader. Somebody has to lead from the front, and then every other person will follow.
Someone has to move from the front. you say someone has to. Actually, someone has to move from the front.
Someone needs to lead.
Okay, my brother. You want to have a question for him? This someone has to move from the front. I always say, Nigerians will abandon you. They will abandon you. No, be so. That's what we always say now.
Yes.
They will leave you hanging dry. So how will now someone now be encouraged to move from the front? What do you say to that?
No, well, the essence of someone leading is that when there are groups of people with the same idea, the same mindset, the same goal, everyone can be a leader. There must be a leader in the team there. That's just the point I'm bringing out there. But
okay, you're right. You're absolutely right.
When people who have the same goal, they are focused on something. There needs to be someone who's leading them, who's speaking out.
Mm-hmm.
And who's giving them. I would be so glad that to join in, to be part of a revolution in this country. But I'm so glad because we can't just go to school, come out, no jobs. Before you get a job, somebody needs to sign your paper. You need to pay money. You just go out on the road. Police stops you with a phone. Why is this phone like this at your age? How are you supposed to get this phone? And all that. So I think it should be a very nice thing that the youth wake up.
Okay.
See it as it's a dire call they need. That we need to move this country forward.
All right. It took up on Jerry. I want to thank you very much. Are you calling from Uyo?
No, I'm calling from Ikotobashi.
The land that is not far from River State, just divided by a stretch of water.
By the bridge there.
Yes, indeed. And you have lots of electricity. I hear you have constant power supply. Is it true?
The company that was there providing us with power supply, that's Ascom, the aluminum company for so many years now. They've been down, and so power is not that constant.
Yeah.
Even since I came back to the village, I think it's a week plus now, and I've not seen light.
Oh my!
Light is just in the urban area where the company is IPC, the power plant is.
Okay.
All right, thank you for always,
Jerry.
Thank you for always being a voice to people like us, always pushing out good matters and
thank you.
Being a voice to the voiceless.
Thank you. Thanks as well.
I appreciate it.
Thanks as well.
Spent my last 8 or 10 years in university, and
my brother,
I do always enjoy your programs on the air.
Thank you very much. Thank you for also hooking up here on Facebook, and please spread the word, share the post so that others can come and watch.
I've already shared. I do almost every day.
Oh, thank you.
I try not to fail
Wow.
how to miss the programs.
Thank you. We'll make it better by God's grace. We'll make it better by God's grace.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Jerry Tukwa also about audio young fee.
Okay. Bye.
All right. Good night. Interesting. I need to get back to eating my afang soup so I can come back. What do you think about what he said, Base One?
Well, I agree. I agree with most of it. You know, that whether we like it or not, if you're coming out, you know, and you're afraid that, or you know that when people, I mean, if something happens to you, nobody's going to come out to say, hey, let him go. Yeah, which we've seen happen in a couple of cases. I mean, it doesn't inspire others too, right? And we need to find a way to make it happen, that more people will come to understand that, you know, ultimately, it's for your own good. If these things are protested against, if they are stopped, and we need to make sure the government understands that we're not going to sit back and allow you do whatever you feel like, which is what we've seen constantly from year to year in this country, whether it was under the military or now under the civilian government. We're just seeing the same kind of things, you know. We need to let these people know that we will not continue to take it. But, Kofi, it's hard. It's hard because you start from, like I did before, you start from the schools. And some draconian laws are put in place, some draconian steps are taken against the students, and you can't protest. One person stands up to try and say, let's do this, and maybe the person is expelled. Everybody else will say, no, me, I don't want to be expelled, though. I can't be expelled, though. And so I will not. And of course, I blame the parents too sometimes, because yes, I do.
What
because
have the parents done? What do the parents do?
I've seen cases where parents themselves, at times when they should have stood by their children, they don't. And you go home after doing something, like you're fighting something, and then some action is taken against you, and you the parents who should come in and say, hey, what are you trying to do with my child? Instead, you get home and they will now say, my friend, what's wrong with you? Why couldn't you just go to school? And that happens. And so the parents themselves are not helping. So it bubbles again. It bubbles from there to the larger society. The same parents who couldn't stand for their kids, you expect those parents to stand for something else happening in society. They don't have the time. They're too busy trying to make ends meet and bring food to the family. So when you come and say, hey, this thing is not right, this thing, they're looking at you like, dude, can you just calm down? Let's finish what we're doing here and go before you start your protest. That's what they do. Okay,
interesting views. We have some time before we say goodnight, and so we're taking more of your thoughts. If you want to call, feel free to call 080-620-99556, 080-620-99556. My name is Kofi Bartels. This is Late Night Talk. Tonight we're asking you your thoughts on the Nigerian youth and the culture of docility. Nigerian youth and the culture of docility. Culture connotes is actually a way of what? My friend, answer me. Culture is actually what? A way of life of a people. A way of life. And it's become a way of life. And my guest, Mr. Basonori, affectionately called Base One, he says it started all the way from school, when there was a departure from the point where students were protesting for their rights to the time, point where student leaders began to be, pamper authorities, and they were signing undertakings to be of good behavior and not lead protests in school again, so they won't get expelled. And what do you call it? And they were looking for their gains, pecuniary gains, and for money and all that. I do know a couple of people, Base, who led protests in River State, University. I know a couple of them, two individuals in particular. They're friends of mine, good friends of mine, and they were jailed, put in prison for some time. It affected their studies.
Of course. One
is into civil society. In fact, he's a firebrand. He's been shouting the NEFA Georgia. He was a law student. His story is well known. And another young man who is joined politics.
Mm.
But if you look at the personal injury they suffered, both emotionally, psychologically, physically, to the academics, and how they've had to carry, I think, their cross by themselves, because they've shared part of their stories with me once or twice. They've had to carry their cross by themselves, look for how to get out of that situation. There is no guarantee that anybody will help you out as a young Nigerian if you come out and you get harassed unjustly, you are made to pay by the system. There is no guarantee that you will be catered for, that someone's going to help you out.
True.
Someone's going to help you. People will pull together resources. The students' union bodies that have hundreds of millions of naira, the NANs, can say, okay, these guys have suffered. Let's send them somewhere so they can actualize the dreams. Or let's support them with some money or help them get back and start again or something. And then they have to start struggling to clear themselves from school and the papers and begin to regret. So what's the motivation? You've said it, and I think a caller mentioned a bit, that when you're saying, all my soldiers follow me, all my soldiers follow me, follow me, follow me, that they will be following you from a distance. They made it here, boy, they scatter like
you turn back and you don't see nobody.
Nobody won't buy, but we won't go.
Heaven.
Nobody won't buy, but we won't go. That's the story of Nigeria. Maybe. We have a call coming through. Hello, good evening.
Good evening. My name is Dr. B.A. Briggs, and I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
Dr. B.A. Briggs, you have 2 stars on my show. I mean, like, by your name, there's a star. No star B.A. Thanks for calling.
Are you serious?
Not star.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, you see, the Nigerian system is built in a way that intimidates people. The citizens are intimidated at all levels of governance and leadership. Even in the traditional institution, in religious institutions, you see the system built such a way that, if, for instance, if you're looking at the religious setting, if your pastor does something wrong, you can't even speak up to say, even constructively to say, pastor, I think in this regard, you've erred. Once you do that, you're seen as a black sheep. How dare you speak against the man of God? Just like if you look at the governance, if you speak against the president, you're seen as the worst enemy of the state, and every resources and machineries at the disposal of the state will be used to hunt you down. All of a sudden, they remember crimes you committed 100 years ago. Then talking about the youths and their involvement in politics and their attitude of being docile in national issues and issues that even have direct bearing on their life and well-being. Okay, let me use myself for instance. When we were in the university, I was a student young leader. There was one day we had there was this policy that you need to pay your school fees before 1 month after resumption. So, but it wasn't very feasible. So we had to go see the vice chancellor then, Professor Don Barida, at his office. Then he was the vice chancellor. So when we got there, we met with him as union leaders, and we told him that please, we came to plead with you to kindly extend the time, the grace period for students to pay their fees. That it's practically impossible for students to pay their fees before at the 1 month duration. Once you add 1 more month, that's to make it 2 months. And he's so angry. He walked us out of his office. So as he walked us out, on our way out, I just thought that I said, no problem, thank you for walking us out, but just realize that it was the students that sent us to come and make this plea on their behalf. So us as being young leaders, we have paid our fees, but since you have walked us out, we are going to go back to the students and give them this feedback. Even they said, hey, young men, come in. It's not like that. Let us talk like a father and son.
Wow.
and we had a dialogue. Okay, and then we didn't get the 1 month we wanted, but we had a 2 weeks extension to the grace period. Now let me also tell you what happened some few years ago. 3 or 4 years ago, when the school fees, no school fees, no exam policy was implemented by the Professor Lally-led administration of Uniport, wherein students went on the protest against the policy. SARS anti-robbery squad was mobilized to come and disperse the crowd. Instead of anti-riot policemen, anti-robbery squad, those that have been trained to, have a gun battle and deal with armed robbers, they are sent to come and disperse the students. Of course, you knew what happened that led to the death of Comrade Peter, who was then the faculty president. Not only that, the institution, the university also went ahead to ensure that all those that were frontliners that sponsored that protest were dealt with. Most of them were rusticated. Some of them
Can you repeat that last statement, because I want you to emphasize it.
After the death of the Comrade Peter from following the protest, some of the frontline organizers of protest, the students, some of them were rusticated, some of them were arrested. People had to, part with some money. Students were made to repeat their levels. People that were mobilized to go for service, youth service, had to be called back to year 3 and start afresh again. So these are draconian policies that people learn from. Okay, so you're just like your guest rightly stated. You've seen your colleague suffer for going out to protest peacefully, and you've seen him being rusticated. You've seen him being demoted. Made to repeat classes that he had already passed before now. And then tomorrow something happens. The school brings up a policy that is anti-student, and you expect somebody to go and protest again. First and foremost, the parents of the victims of this draconian policies will not be happy with their kids. I think I sent you to school to go and study, not to go and protest. Are you the only student? Why would you be the one to lead the protest? That is the way the parents will say it. And so the other students will learn from it. So when there's subsequently, when there's an issue that would require students to, actively engage and constructively engage in university management or the system, as it were, you see them shine away, not because they are comfortable, but because they know that if they dare, express an opinion, they'll become victims, and nobody will speak for them. Nobody will come to their aid. So these are the kind of things that happen that make people to become docile. I beg, let me just do my own and just go. Okay, so the very few that will have the guts to challenge, will have to bear the brunt of the system. So it's a systematic thing. But I cited an instance for you, wherein I told you we had to meet with the Vice Chancellor and what he told. After that encounter, I realized that the system itself is more afraid of the people than we are of them. We just prey on our ignorance and our fear.
Wow.
Look at what is happening in the US. Such a thing cannot happen in Nigeria. Okay, let me tell you now. If, for instance, we've seen the deplorable situations where how the Nigerian police force, they are made to work under very, undeserving situations and conditions. Okay, now if a group of people come together to say, okay, we want better policing, we want better welfare packages for our police, and you go on a protest, the same police that you're protesting for to have improved, they will send them to come and kill you. They will send them to come and maim you. They will send them to come and, so what do you want to go and do?
B.A. Briggs, you've raised some important points here. And before I asked you a question based on the last thing you said, for the students who have had it difficult with, being rusticated, being demoted, being made to pay, they're victimized in school, that's the school system. What do you think could have occurred or should have occurred to make it more easier and for them to continue in the activism? Because there's always victimization, whichever way you look at it. They'll always want to fight you, Is it that the larger society has to support the students? Is it that students have to, when their leaders are made to pay, that the remaining students will even get wilder and say, no, we are not going to school. We are going on strike. We'll stay at home. We'll shut down until that decision is rescinded. Because if you as a student union leader goes or takes the fall, and then everybody now runs away, then we have a cycle that won't end.
Exactly. Okay, so let me tell you another experience I had. when I was, I'd already finished my tenure as SG official back then in university. Something happened in the medical hostel back then, and medical students for the first time went on a protest. Even the protest went violent. They damaged some university properties.
Medical students.
Yes.
Usually peaceful.
I wasn't even. I don't stay in the hostel. I stay off campus. And next thing I had a call that myself and my colleague, now Dr. Emmanuel John and Dr. Adrian Obina, that we are the ones that sponsored, because they know that we are the SG activists in medicine. So they said medical students would never protest, that we are the ones that instigated them. And they wanted to come after us. I had to call the dean, Professor Matthew Wego, and I said, with all due respect, sir, I don't stay in the hostel. I don't have any business there. So why would you think that I will go and instigate when I'm not directly involved? I don't understand. Why would you think that? You said apologize. Please start. You need to really apologize. How can you say that to me? So you think that medical students are so stupid, they're so dumb, they don't have any sense of reasoning, they don't have any sense of opinion to express, because if they express it, it must be me and my two other colleagues that would have instigated them. That is how far they take you. Okay? So even now, if people like us stage a protest one way or another, it will be believed that somebody somewhere, if it's against the government, for instance, it will be believed that somebody somewhere is sponsoring you. And you know that is not true. So they don't believe anybody can just stand up of his own volition, or a group of people come together and do something. You recall when we went for that Stop the Suit campaign, we had to rally. It was said that we were sponsored. For Christ's sake, who sponsored me to leave my house and the comfort of my office and all that to come and protest when I know that the suit is destroying my environment, I'm affected, my kids are affected, and I have a right as a citizen to call government's attention to what I'm suffering, and you say somebody sponsored me. So this is what you are saying. The system is built to intimidate, but there is no army that can stand against the will of the people.
I was waiting for that, but
we must, wake up from our slumber and know that we are the government. The people that are in positions of responsibility, they are there to protect our interests. It is what we say that they will do. And until we begin to realize that, you don't think that there's no way you're going to distinguish yourself or ostracize yourself from government. You are the government. You are the government. And if government is doing things that is not in your interest, you need to engage them constructively. And one of such measures is a peaceful protest. And good as in now, we have social media. You mustn't fully come out physically to protest. I've seen changes being effected on the direction of social media protest. I've seen a lot.
But B.A. Briggs, social media. B.A. Briggs, sorry to interrupt you, Dr. Briggs.
Okay.
Social media has its limits. You talked about protesting on social media, and it's had. Yes, we've had some changes, but it has its limits. And what we're seeing in the United States of America are a crop of young people, a generation of young Americans who are saying, we are tired of tweeting hashtag Black Lives Matter. We're coming out onto the streets, this time in greater numbers than we did before, and we're going to stay on the streets, risk our lives till there is change. So tweeting sometimes has its limits. We tweeted stop the suit. We're trending from our own Port Harcourt here to the whole of Nigeria. Till today, the suit has not stopped.
Yeah, but it's better to protest on social media than coming out. Let us take a step before we take the second one. If we can, for me, I feel that if young people can, constructively utilize social media platforms we have, okay, we can still to a large extent, effect changes. Okay? For instance, if you get assaulted by a police officer and you can get his name and his tag, you can get and put it on social media, in the next 1, 2, 3 hours, before you know it, it's everywhere, and the police force headquarters will be forced to do something about it. We've seen things done
like that.
Dr. Briggs, my guest differs with you. You said it's better to protest on social media, but he was.
No,
what
it's
do you
not.
say?
It's not better to protest on social media. It's just easier. So everybody can come there and air their opinions and all that. It's easier, and so people do it. And we may feel, oh, it's good that these people are talking about it, but if it doesn't translate to an actual occurrence in the real society, then it helps us very little. We've all signed a lot of petitions online. You get those messages, please sign this petition, and we've signed and I can't think of any one of those petitions that I've signed that has translated to actual action anywhere. It didn't affect government policy making. It didn't affect anything. So at some point, and I think it's even better that the social media is used to start the conversation, get people mobilized, and then you come out to speak.
Dr. Briggs, what do you say to that?
I agree, but you know what? There's something about Nigerians. We are conformist.
Yes.
We conform.
That's what we have to deal with.
Inconvenience him or herself. That's the reason for the docility. It's not because they don't feel the pain. They feel the pain, but there is a limit to what we can take. I believe that we're getting there gradually. Everybody's getting to that elastic limit. I don't know what it is that will cause an implosion, but I know very soon, very, very soon, across the country, people will begin to take, responsibility and, begin to decide their own fate, take their fates in their hands and, move the country forward. But like I said, we as a people, we do not realize the power we wield as a people. And until we wake up from our slumber and realize that the people that are there to represent us, and they are there by our consent, okay? And they must do what will be in our maximum interest. Until we realize that and know that this institutionalized intimidation, oppression, repression, and maiming of people will have to stop someday. But they have taken advantage of our fear, okay? And to a large extent, we have come to falsely believe that there is nothing we can do to change the system. But that's a lie. We have everything to do. They're just playing on us because of that apathy and that fear.
Okay.
But I believe that there will come a time when we'll rise up from our slumber and take the country by storm.
Before I go, Briggs, talking about students' unionism and its impact on galvanizing the youth of the nation to speak and stand for their rights, you've spoken basically about school activities, school issues. But there was a time when the student union leaders were galvanizing young people, even people who were not students, to protest on things that were national issues. For instance, Shore was pictured in a video that has been shared many times by his people, protesting against the arrest of Abiola, if you remember. So, but we don't see students coming out to protest over national issues, except one faction of NANS to come out and protest in support of one politician, and the other faction will come out and protest against. Or one faction of this will come out, IY or C or something, and then they're even fighting themselves. They are fighting themselves. For how many years have we had NANS faction A and faction B, Ikwere Youth Movement, Ijo Youth Council, Calabar Youth Movement, River State, River State News, fighting. And then when it's election time, we the youths endorse the honorable this and honorable that. My brother.
Okay. Can I tell you something? And I'm going to tell you this for free. Because of the power that student union leaders wielded in the past, the university management decided to be interested in who becomes a student union president. If they know you to be an activist, somebody that will want to stand up for the rights of students and defend it, they will do everything within their powers to ensure that they frustrate you and you don't emerge as president. So practically they decide, the university management decides and picks who becomes SG president especially.
I see.
And once they do that, you owe them allegiance, you owe them loyalty.
Exactly.
Okay? I'm telling you, I'm not telling you what I think, I'm telling you what I know because I was part of it. Alright? Now, when I said that SG secretary from 2007 to early 2009 in University of Port Harcourt. Okay? And by then my tenure was up. Because of how well I did,
People were already campaigning for me to become president. And the dean of the state of state affairs that time did everything he could to ensure that I didn't contest. And if I attempted contesting, they would have disqualified me. But I just went to him and said, Dean, save yourself the energy. I am not contesting. Like I'm in a private medical school now. I should be thinking of becoming a doctor than indulging myself again in unionism. For me, I'm not going to pick of unionism. So that was it. So these are deliberate things that are done. So the people that come, they are like stooges in the hands of the management. That is why you see that it's as if student unionism have sold out. Even that the same thing happens in NANS. Okay? So they deliberately polarize the union from the top to the bottom and render them powerless. So people that truly have that, Aluta spirit that want to do something, and engage with the university cannot do so.
Okay, even the politicians also put people who are loyal to them there, so that they can protect their interest and
exactly
galvanize you to campaign.
And I'm telling you because I know A to Z, at least in any report that I attended, I can tell you it is so. Till tomorrow, until next tomorrow, it will be like that. The vice chancellor must know who becomes SG president. He must know. And if you have that trait of activism, you will never, in Uniport, you can never be SG president. You can never. Instead of you to be SG president, they would cancel the elections that year and come up with an interim committee that will be appointed by them.
Mr. Briggs, Dr. Briggs, before you go, what is the way forward in this regard? All the things you've said to ensure that we have the youth, at least our generation is gone now. We should think of actively occupying the positions, but we have young people who have come up, are coming up. Do you think there is hope based on what we've seen in America, where millennials that we never expected would? I mean, is it Generation Z? Is it what they call it, Generation Z or something? Are on the streets. I mean, I'm surprised and I'm impressed. Do you think we can have something? What's the way for? How can we see something like this? A conscious Nigerian youth who demands for his rights.
The problem is institutionalized, like I told you. Do you think this vicious circle of poverty by successive governments on the youth?
Yeah. So how do we? How will the situation change? So how will the situation change?
They impoverish the youth because I don't mind the devil's workshop. They impoverish the youth. When it's time for election, you just throw peanuts. The people are hungry. They are starving.
So Dr. Briggs, how will it change? How will this whole narrative change? How will this situation change? Or are we doomed for all eternity?
I'm somebody that is very optimistic. I do not believe that going forward there will not be change. There will be change. I'm very positive about it.
How?
Maybe it might be slow, but we as a people, especially young people, we must realize that we are more powerful than we can ever imagine, and the power to effect the changes we wish to see is just within our hands. It's for us to just realize it and begin to utilize it.
Okay.
It may not be easy, but it's achievable.
All right.
That's as much I can say.
I'd like to thank you for your honesty in letting me know that you were put there by the by school authorities. But I mean, you went there, now turned against them. That's why when there was an issue, they were suspecting you, and they didn't want you to go. So I think he's shown us a formula. Get in there, allow them, and then when you get now turn against them, like B.A. Briggs did. Dr. Briggs, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kofi, for having me. I'm grateful. My regards to your guest there.
Thank you. Well, interesting thoughts. It's given us a one-on-one experience. But I'll take your thoughts on that in a bit. Let's just clear some messages out of the way.
Okay.
I want to thank those of you who are joining us live on Facebook and on YouTube as well. This isn't on air, but this is the way the world is right now, because we have an opportunity to reach you using the power of the internet, and with 5G coming on board, I'm sure it will get better. We'll be having faster internet, cheaper internet. People will be hooking up, so we're positioning ourselves to be there for you. At least maybe we start from here. But if you're watching, thank you for watching. YouTube, Facebook, thank you very much. Please share the post, share the live stream, so your friends can see it and also watch as well. Also like the page and follow like and follow if you're on Facebook, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Hit the notification bell if you're on YouTube, and also the notification button if you're on Facebook, so that you can get notified each time we go live. My name is Kofi Bartels. It's Late Night Talk. Today my guest is Mr. Basone Ria. He is a tech professional and also a media professional as well. He produced my first TV program in life, and of course he's a good friend of the house. Your thoughts are welcome. I'm going to read the ones that I have not read so far. We'll take maybe one more call if time permits. If time doesn't permit, we'll just leave it at that. But call 080-620-99556. That's the number to call, 080-620-99556. And I'll be very glad to take your call, 080-620-99556. And I'll be glad to take a call. We have actually crossed way over the 1 hour mark that we're used to. But when you're having a good time, they say time flies fast. Let's read some of your messages. Next one here is from Papa Abaido Senior. Oh, Papa Abaido. Okay, Abaido is Papa. Is Ghanaian. Papa Abaido Senior says, I'm watching you live from Western Region inside Takwa, Naisha. That's in Ghana. Live from Ghana. That's the power of technology.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing it the way we're doing it. Acho Modu, I'll be forced to invite you to this set because you've been airing some very controversial views. Acho, I would pair you and somebody from the other side. Acho Modu is a lawyer. He says today's Nigerian youth are highly misinformed. They don't read up things that would increase their knowledge. Ask a young person or youth in Nigeria of any issue relating to politics, economics, and social connectivities, okay? And you'll be shocked what you hear from them say as a response. Is it true? Is it true? I'm a youth here. It's so disappointing, he says. They want immediate gratification, raise an issue of misappropriation of funds by a politician, and the youth will be the ones to come out and support the corrupt politician. It's so bad. Thank you very much. This one says, Baba K and Bays, I salute. Adaye Dixon. Adaye, nice to see you. This is like the second or third time I see you on the stream. Thanks for your time. I appreciate you. Dimo Isaac says, love you, studio here. This is a welcome development. Thank you very much. Walter Kweku Sharp says, they see you all from Ghana. My Ghanaian guys are watching. Thank you very much. Adaye Dixon says, the way of life. Thank you. Michael Fagbo, who says Nigerian youth are fantastically corrupt. He says even so-called students' union, another thing is intimidation.
Yeah.
Adaye Dixon says it's true. We were forced to sign documents prohibiting us from any protest in the university. If you are involved, just expel yourself. He says, just expel yourself. Go from them, because if they catch you, ... Oh my. AB, thank you very much, Adaye Dixon. AB George Apangolo, but see how you turned out. Turned out great. AB George Apangolo says, good evening, Kofi, and your guest. The Western culture, too, has influenced our youth because most parents don't have time to tell them our cultural norms and values. These youth are left to themselves with peer groups to influence them negatively and to go into other social vices. We have to go back to our roots as Africans, as Nigerians. We have values and norms that made our forefathers to live with morals, dignity, and what we have values. We'll come to that in a bit. Thank you very much. Interesting comment there. Edin Wanko, you're here today. Good evening. Thanks for your time. Edin Wanko says, the major challenge is lack of solidarity in our society. The youth minds are so divided that they see either ethnic, political, religious, etc. boundaries in every drive. Amazing. It says, protest for Chima was by Ikoku traders, protest for Uwa by Uniben students. Majority of people fear far and near, stand by and watch while authorities easily know who to clamp down on. A few guys can just get into a park and maltreat and extort a driver while his colleagues watch and mind their business. Looking at the Floyd protests, you see people from different races, places, and classes joining in solidarity, defying the COVID-19 pandemic, not because they don't know the pandemic is real, but because they take their rights to express themselves more important no matter the cost. Amazing, amazing. He says, if it's here, you'll hear blacks protest in ... Amazing. Amazing. Eddie Wanko, interesting comment by you. Thank you. Jerry Kitukakwan is back. He says, Doctor, you're very right. Once you're an activist, you're not allowed to be a student union government president. Oh, okay. Adair Dixon is back today. He says, in our beloved country, Nigeria, it's difficult to have a protest that won't affect the protesters negatively. Ikoku traders protested weeks before COVID-19 lockdown. Ikoku was locked down. He says, River State government banned all types of protests. We can't fight the government, he says. Do you agree with that view? We can't fight the government. You know, someone said on Facebook, on WhatsApp group, brother, that there's only one thing powerful than after God. Say after God, not government. And you can't fight the government. I hear that all the time when you're on radio.
It's just another way to put the same sentiment that everybody is expressing now, that if you do try to fight or protest, they're going to, in some way, make sure that action impacts you negatively. That's what they all end up doing. So everybody now is, I mean, again, it comes back to the fact that if you don't have enough people in the protest, then the protest is not going to go far. So you can't fight the government because you, on your own, how much can you do? But when you remember that the government is the people, right? Then you find that it's a bit antithetical because you're the government.
Interesting.
Right?
You know, but all this talk of, there will be a backlash. They're going to come after us.
See, what I wanted to say,
they'll make you pay.
Kofi, what I wanted to say is this. We should remember that, I mean, every single protest we've heard of through history, there were backlashes.
But of course, there will be backlashes.
Right.
That's
so
the idea.
we cannot use that as an excuse not to.
Thank you.
What we need to do instead is be smart enough to prepare for that eventuality and fight for what you need.
Yeah, and probably also, thank you. And probably also accept.
Yes, accept it.
Say,
okay, fine.
I'm going to
this
lay
might
my life down.
This might make me lose this. It might go as far as me losing my life, but I want to make sure that this protest drives home the need for this change.
So sacrifice. Fantastic. Which brings us to a next point. But I remember the speech by Martin Luther King, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. or Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Where he talked the mountaintop speech, where he said, "I've been to the mountaintop, and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but we will get there. I may not get there." And he foretold his death in some way, you know.
Yes.
But Martin Luther King Jr. was determined to risk it all because he believed in the cause. I'm this book I'm reading called Destiny by T. Jakes, and he talks about a meeting he had with the widow of Martin Luther King, Rosetta Scott King, who refused to get married again after Martin passed on, and she said that they saw it as a mission, their life's mission, to sacrifice their life, their family, everything for the black race. And so there was so even in the husband's death, she saw her role to be the widow of this man and represent the movement
continuously.
Yes, continuously. Yeah. So that brings us to values, because you talked about that. I call it, okay, we've talked about on your own syndrome, which is people who would run away at the slightest squawk. Okay, fear, talked about that. Now values, the what's in it for me syndrome as well. Okay, the what's in it for me syndrome, where people are asking what's in it for me. What would I gain and what would I lose? So if they see they're going to lose something, your family, boy, life is important. Even what we do in the media, life is important. So
I'm telling
just think about your father, think about your children. You're not even giving your father a child yet. These ass people, and today is the first year. It's in 12 months today since I was beaten by SARS. Just on my street and taken to the SARS station and given the beating of my life. And since that beating, my fear for or even thoughts for the police, being afraid that they would victimize me has disappeared. It's gone, totally gone, totally I don't know how. Maybe there's a sense. Maybe there's a sense of, I don't know, bitterness, or I don't know what it is. But I feel less threatened by the presence of a threatening policeman. I don't know.
But it works the other way for most people, because for most people, after going through such an experience, they cower into a shell.
Okay, but I've found it works this way for quite a lot of people.
It does for some people.
It's okay. They don't be waiting.
But it also works the other way for a lot of people.
Okay.
Right? There are so many people I know who have gone through a similar experience, right? And
they
came
called
out
into their shell.
From that moment on.
You don't want
If you call them out and say, "Hey, this thing is wrong. Let's talk about it," they say, "I beg, leave me alone. I'm not ready for this one."
Brother,
after what I suffered, I also went through a similar experience with you. Mine was on the day of the Ikoku
where you were hit with a gun.
Yes, I was hit. I was bundled into the vehicle and all that.
And you were not even part of them. You were just passing by.
I was just passing. I was going to renew my license, and this happened to me. And the people who hit me and bundled me into the vehicle they didn't even know why it was happening. Somebody else, one of them though, but somebody else, got angry with something he heard me say. But I wasn't even talking to him. I was talking to somebody else. He just heard it, got angry, and started shouting.
And hit you with a gun.
These other people didn't even know what was going on. They just ran and started hitting me and all that. So when I entered the vehicle, I didn't even fight them. But when I entered the vehicle, one of them who had been hitting me sat in front, and I asked him, "So I'm going to do my license, and I just happen to pass here. That's why you guys want to take me to your listen." He said, "I shouldn't have argued with them." I said, "I didn't argue. You don't even know what happened. I wasn't arguing with your man. He heard me say something to somebody else.
And they just hit you with a gun.
He doesn't even know what I was talking about, but he just heard one word and then decided that maybe I was complaining about what you guys were doing. So the rest of you don't even know that that's what started it. Right? And this is what I suffered. So when people see that, and okay, this is what happened that day. Somebody else, just to show you what we're talking about, right? I wasn't alone that day. There was somebody else with me.
Okay.
So when they gathered me, I turned around to look for the person I was with. I didn't see him.
All right. The word gathered alone is a script.
You understand?
The picture.
I didn't see him. I later saw that he had moved far, which means he ran all the way because it was he had run. Now, when I met him later, when they let me go, and I met him later, I asked him, "Dude, I wanted to hand over to you what was in my hand so that I could." And he said he was trying to come back, but all the people where he was standing were telling him, "Don't go." So he had run, but he now claimed that he thought, no, that he should come back to help me. But everybody around him was telling him, "Don't go."
It happens. They will tell you, all sorts of things that
So I wasn't one of
which may be true.
Yes, I wasn't one of the protesters. I was passing by,
and they
right?
hit you with a gun.
But I would have ended up going with the protesters that they carried that day. They would have carried me along with them, yes,
and they would have kept you there for days.
And I mean,
and they love.
I wasn't even protesting, but that didn't change my view about these things at all. What the man heard me say that started this all was they were making everybody pass under some high tension wires and all that. Yeah, even some old ladies carrying things on their heads. So that made me, I turned to the person I was with and said, "Hey, I mean, under high tension, that's all." And that was it. There was no argument. There was no this thing. That was all it was.
These are friends.
So that's the country we're dealing with.
Oh my. Anyway, still late night talk. So today is 1 year, and your experience, and what people said, to your friend, it just goes to show the whole fear, the whole on your own syndrome, and in a way to what's in it for me syndrome. I mean, what's in me meaning what do I stand to gain or lose? What do I stand to gain or lose? So, with the example you gave and the previous one, people are looking at, what's in it for me? If I'm not going to gain anything, I'm not going out to protest. And I think the stop the suit protest in Port Harcourt for many years, from 2015 to that year, was the first protest you had in Port Harcourt that was not sponsored by any politician.
Yeah.
That had an organic crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Most times in this country, if you want people to protest for something, you have to pay them.
Mm-hmm.
You have to buy them T-shirts. You have to find trans for them. You go to Uniport. You call somebody who can get you students. You go to UST. You go to some communities, town, blah blah blah. You pay. Waiting how much trans? 5K deal. 4K na lie. Sure, you don't do one before. One a picture with three. You don't go. He is the young man here, the studio assistant here. He didn't even know what he was protesting for. He just know they came to call him for something. So I go for one account like that. 2,000 naira. You see, so we're not used to picking up causes in this country. People the values that we have is what's in it for me. That's why I feel someone can get into political office and is thinking of what's in it for me.
And it's a sad thing. It's a really sad
someone
thing.
gets into office and then his townspeople are thinking of what's in it for us. His village people are celebrating. They are giving congratulatory messages. They'll go to the office. If it's NDDC MD, go and hang their village banners there. Buguma people come and Ikwe people, we are from this town. We hereby what's in it for me.
That's what rules. The what's in it for me syndrome.
In this country.
That's what rules, yes.
And that what's in it for me affects even patriotism.
Yeah.
So nobody wants to die for the country. Nobody, because we're asking what has the country done for me. So Nigeria now, we say, I can't die for. I asked one question some years ago. Can you die for Nigeria? And someone said we can't die for Nigeria because Nigeria is not worth dying for. The country has not given us anything. And then I said, Robert F. Kennedy quoted somebody, and in quoting that person, JFK said, "Ask not what your nation can do for. Ask what you can do for nation." So what would you say about this what's in it for me syndrome that prevents people from?
It's an evil thing that we need to find some way to kill in this country, because that's the underlying foundation for even all the corruption that we see in the country. It's what's in it for me. What's in it for me? Okay, you're coming to this office. You just bought land. You're building a house. You need approval from this office, but the person you meet when you go for the approval asks, "What's in it for me?" You have a case in court. In fact, you're a lawyer.
Please hold your thought as we have a call coming through. Let's see. These calls are precious to us.
Yes.
Hello, good evening. I almost said 92.3. Good evening. Hello? Yeah, you sound very faint. If you're using earpiece, can you take it out and probably just use your phone like that? It's really faint. Wait. Can you hear me? Yeah, you sound very low, very faint. Can you maybe take your earpiece out and use your phone like that? Oh, okay. Just try calling back, okay? Really faint. Okay. Sorry about that. So it's still late night talk. My name is Kofi Bartels, and we're asking what is responsible for the culture of docility amongst Nigerian youth, because it seems all of you are agreeing that Nigerian youth is docile. So let me upgrade the question. Instead of saying a Nigerian is docile and what's responsible for the culture, a Nigerian is docile, let's ask what's responsible for the culture of docility. Please, if you call, it's sometimes clearer if you take off your earpiece and use your phone to just hold it normally. Base, before you were cut short before the call came through, so you can continue.
Truth is, we have to find some way to kill, or at least reduce the what's in it for me.
How?
Culture. But
how? Because now it's become the way of life in the country,
Yes, of course, it's not going to be easy, and really, it shouldn't. I mean, the people in power have all it takes to kill this, but they themselves are doing it. So it's hard to kill. But I think I'm a firm believer that small wins inspire you to get to the big wins. So I think the first thing we need to do is nip it in our smaller circles as much as we can. If you're in an office and people are doing this and you get wind of it, you raise it up. You raise up the issue and try to kill it. It appears even in our families. Let's kill it in the families. As many of us as possible that can make sure we don't let our children grow with those mindsets. We started from the families. We let it go into the schools. We let it go into the offices. We let it go into the distance. At least let there be let there be news to talk about that people stood up against this, even from the smaller circles, and let it grow to the bigger circles. I don't know any other way that I can recommend, but it has to go start from somewhere and grow to the larger society.
So it'll come if we change our attitudes and have a sort of a value shift.
If enough people, if enough individuals will decide to take this stand and begin to change, at least in the spheres where you have the influence. In those spheres where you have the influence, make the change. But make it loud when you do it. Make it loud when you do it. I think that's a way.
I wasn't a fan of Shore, during the 2015 elections. This sort of guy coming with his student union, manner of anger, angry with everybody, and not a clear-cut plan, articulated strategically thinking person like Moghalu. I wanted Moghalu to be president, really. Moghalu was it for me.
Too.
Not always Ekwesili, my good friend, I like her, but Moghalu was it for me. Not Philadelphia Toye, my good friend again. Moghalu had a plan. He knew what he wanted to do. But I've developed a liking for Shore in recent, after the election. Not a fan of him, but a fan of what he's done. The fact that he's standing up.
Yes.
He might not tick all the boxes. He might not even have all the right causes. And personally, my trust for him and his motives are not really 100%. It's not really 100%. But the mere fact, or the fact that he's throwing himself out there, risking it.
Somebody has to.
Saying the word revolution in this country. That alone is earned him my respect, really. And Fela sang about this thing years ago.
Yeah.
He sang about it, said we are suffering and smiling,
Yeah.
And it's on today. So,
but all Fela has at the end of the day were fans and not supporters.
You see? Even Fela, thank you.
Yes.
Thank
he has are fans, not supporters.
Can you say that again, please?
All Fela has, for all the activism that was coming out from his music, all he got were fans, not supporters.
He lost his
fans
mother.
Just get excited over everything you do. Supporters will stand up when they need to stand up. And there was nobody to stand up.
I mean,
even when Fela himself was being harassed many times by government or different type of authorities, who stood up?
They took him in jail. Where were all his fans?
Where were they?
They didn't shut down Lagos.
They were at home listening to his music and hoping he would come out from jail and write some more.
And getting high on his music.
Yes.
And he's considerable. Fela is the modern day, or the Nigerian Malcolm X or Martin Luther King. There's no one which from independence, even the leaders of independence, the independence struggle, independent Nigeria, we don't have quotes, things they said.
No, we don't.
We don't. Like how Ghanaians have Kwame Nkrumah. We don't have that.
We don't.
Even from then to now.
Who do you want to quote?
But Fela is the only one.
Yes.
The Nigerians have that we can say, okay, Mandela said this, we say Fela said that. Martin Luther said this, we say Fela said that. But you're saying his fans could not translate from being fans to supporters.
They couldn't.
They came and burned down his house, his homes. They threw his mom from upstairs down. She died.
Understand?
He was jailed.
Yes.
They burned Kalakuta Republic. He lost. He was ill.
Now we have a generation of people who go to the shrine every year in the name of a celebration thing. To money is made there, right? Money is made there. Artists are paid to perform, and then other people are selling the things they sell that people are taking on the outside and getting high and everything. That is the only thing that we have as today's legacy of Fela.
And then we remember him and so Fela said this.
Yeah,
he stood up for that and that.
yes.
Look
All
at
over social media, want to start to talk about these kind of issues. Somebody,
yeah.
I'm even surprised. It doesn't seem like anybody on your this thing has quoted Fela right now. But usually, you would have one person somewhere quote something that Fela said about the system.
And look at the crowd that lined the streets of Lagos from the stadium in Surulere, National Stadium. You had to trek. You had to drive. Trek for hours to even get to the front of the crowd. I hear the line was really long. Miles and miles of people lining up to far past his body. But nobody could stand up and resist. He was pretty the only one who was standing up to the military.
He was.
Well, we had some others.
No, there were a few others, but his voice was pretty much the loudest.
He paid the price for it. And those who stood up to face the military actively, how many of them have been at the forefront in the current democratic dispensation? The few who we know were there.
The more effective one died. The more effective ones died.
Tinubu was one of those pro-democracy people.
Yeah.
Atiku Abubakar was one of those pro-democracy people. In a way, Obasanjo was somehow there.
Yeah, but
what is all that?
Obasanjo played both sides of the field.
Okay, I have to exhaust the questions, but I'll go back to the comments. I have one last point to make and take your thoughts on. It's still late night talk. Thank you very much for your time. Let's just take more comments before we go, and of course asking for your thoughts on the Nigerian youth and docility, based on the fact that the Justice for Floyd protests in America have ridden on the back of the youth, on the crest of a wave of youth enthusiasm, and hitting the streets to demand for change and racial equality in America. And we're asking for your thoughts on how the Nigerian youth are faring as regards this. And most of you agreed, my guest this evening, Basone Roye, aka Base One, that Nigerian youth are docile. I want to put the way he said it. All right. We have a message here. This is from... Okay, Adaye Dixon, thank you very much for your message earlier. Ayasa Felix says they're afraid of death because government, through their forces, will shoot them to death. IPOB Amudondu by Charlie Boy, Revolution Now protests, just to mention a few examples why they are docile. Look at the young people in Hong Kong. They're being beaten up. They're being attacked. And I think some gunshots were fired and all, but look at the young people in Hong Kong. They're being thrown in jail. Even when they win elections, will we allow fear chase us every time? But this is a reason. He's given the reason. Ayasa Felix, thank you very much. Emmy Don says, I just want to say hi for good work, sir. Thank you very much. Etefe Emmanuel is on YouTube. He says, youth are intimidated by top politicians. Do you agree with that?
Of course.
Okay. Acho Modu says, the Nigerian youth should read and get informed. An informed person knows his rights and rights of the citizens and how to protect and fight for these rights. Yeah. Okay. Eddie Wanko says, Kofi, your mindset after the brutality was aided by the kind of solidarity you got. You think so? Okay. It says, a person who, after receiving such a beating, will have his family members begging with money to bail him and his freedom at the mercy of his oppressors may not have the same mindset as yours. Okay. I don't totally agree with you, but I understand your point. My brother, another thing that has gotten my attention also, this is what's in it for me syndrome, tribalism, where young people, how do you think tribalism plays a role in all this docility we're seeing?
Well, we're struggling with very serious manifestations of tribalism across the country. The West banding together, the East banding together, the North banding together, the South in a bit of disarray, because there are so many, they don't have a unifying language, a unifying culture, and so it's harder for them. But as much as they can, they still do, for political upheavals and all whatnot. And so at the end of the day, yes, we, like we said earlier, we do see a few protests that are along those ethnic lines or things like that. And so it seems like there are a lot of people who are willing to come out and stand and fight if it's something for their tribe, if it's something for their particular ethnic group. But if it's something that's going to benefit them and others, there's less motivation to come out. Why would I fight for something that the other people will enjoy? Why will I fight for something?
Because someone raised, I think it was Adaye who raised the issue of the Ikoku Justice for Chima thing, where everybody just left the Igbos to fight the. Okay, where were the Ijaw Youth Movement, the Calary, all these associations to speak. And I also
but that's exactly the point, that when things like that happen, we should be able to think about it as, oh no, this injustice can actually be meted out to any of us. It's not because they are who they are that it's happening. It's just because the people who are doing this to them feel they have the power. So if you don't stand up, then you're saying that when it happens to you or one of your people, others shouldn't stand up also. That's what we have to remember. It is eventually going to happen to others, and those people are going to be our brothers, they're going to be our sisters, they're going to be people that we wish it didn't happen to.
And someone comes up and says, oh, follow me, let's go, brothers. They'll say, this is Yoruba man, this is Akara man.
Exactly.
And some other things. Okay. What's your take on the not too young to run? Because we're talking about Nigerian youth now. Agitation.
I was even going to talk about that.
And the bill and all that.
Yes. They stroked our egos, so to speak.
Who is the they?
Whoever proposed that bill and those who made it pass. They made it seem like, yes, they're saying something that we want to hear, which they did. They said something we want to hear. But at the end of the day, not too young to run. Yeah, we already knew we're not too young to run. It's not really like you had to tell us. Where there are lots of people who have passed the threshold of the age where they can stand for these things. But what's the economic power? I will keep coming back to this because we know. How much does it cost to buy a form to run for that office you're talking about?
Well, those are some of the things we're trying to change. The cost of the form.
Did they?
The age. Good question.
Did they? It's not about saying we want to do this. We've been hearing that for many years. Actually make the change. Actually make the change. If you're going to tell me you want to create a level playing field for us all to come into this challenge and this thing, then create the level playing field. Don't keep me waiting. Don't tell me we're trying to do it and then for the next 50 years it's not done. Right? So
I feel the nice to say on air back in the day that this whole not too young to run thing is just a waste of time. It's a whole load of male cow manure.
I didn't put any importance to it when it all started.
Let's just take a score. I think we have someone coming through. Hello, good evening.
Okay.
Yes, you sound really faint. I don't know why. Can you hear me? Okay, just go on and make your point. I think it's from your phone or network in a few sentences. Go on, please. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Your name is what? Mercy from Iwofe. Really faint, really faint. Okay, Mercy, in a few sentences, please. Go on. Mercy, I'm afraid we have to let you go because even the listeners out there, watchers, may not hear you. The level of your audio is really low. I apologize, please. If you have another phone or does the phone belong to someone else who is nearby, please use the phone to call. I'm sorry about that, but I appreciate you calling in even at the time. We're almost at midnight. So I felt it was a whole load of male cow manure, because first of all, you're asking people for political privileges to run for an office just because of your age. And I'm asking what else apart from the age you have to offer, because age is not the only thing you need to be a good leader.
Of course.
And also political office is not the only way you can effect change in your community. So I said, okay, all the young people in our society, how are they showing leadership in our communities and in our society to change your society? Because leadership is not about position; it's about what you can do in any situation you find yourself to effectively.
Yes.
So I said, people just want to use the platform to get themselves into office.
Yes.
But what are you doing? Okay, so it means if you're not in that office, you can't do anything.
Exactly.
So we are looking at a group of young people in this country who are interested, who are interested in securing political power
Mm-hmm.
in a what's in it for me way,
Mm-hmm.
but are not interested in, without the political power, talking about issues that are bedeviling the nation. So we have young people in Kenya going out to stand in front of the Kenyan parliament to spill pig blood. Spill pig blood, in other words, and pig head. The parliamentarians are pigs. Why? Because they are one of the highest paid in the world. And Kenya is a poor country
Yes.
where lots of people cannot afford to live with $1 a day. We have slums, and then the Kenyan parliamentarians are collecting loads of cash, amongst the highest paid in the world,
Yes.
higher than the British Parliament. They went there and threw pig blood